And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Probably not. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside SPE off. Bring in SPE off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If there's methane, would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, and welcome to another NSF live stream. You are looking at a Falcon 9 rocket sitting at Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Tonight, SpaceX is getting ready to launch the Starlink 10-23 mission with 27 more internet satellites going into space. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. We are NASASpaceflight.com. We're an independent news media organization that points cameras at rockets whenever we can. Joining me on commentary tonight, as always, we have our ever-competent cohort of co-hosts, starting off, of course, with Alex. How are you doing tonight, Alex?
For once, we're gonna see a Falcon 9 launching Starlinks, right? It's never gonna happen again, or ever has happened in the past. Of course, it's happened before. I'm just joking. But yeah, it's another late night Starlink, man. They do be hitting different.
It is indeed another late-night Starlink, but there are some interesting quirks about tonight's mission, which we will get into. And, of course, we also have to talk about who is out operating the cameras in the field, which tonight, of course, is none other than our very own Max Evans. Max, I know you're dealing with a lot right now, but we got to say hi, and what's up? Max, do we have you? Talking while muted. All right, while Max is troubleshooting some stuff in the background, we will talk to him in a little bit and get a situation report for what's happening on the ground right now. But in the meantime, Alex, let's talk a little bit about tonight's mission. But first, I have to thank Carson for operating tonight's stream. Thank you, Carson. I'm sorry for almost forgetting you. But Alex, tell us a little bit about tonight's mission.
Yeah, so this is Starlink Group 10-23. And so Group 10 missions are usually missions that carry Starlink V2 mini satellites. In this case, it is carrying 27 of them on this Falcon 9. And these go to a 53-degree inclination. It's sort of different from what we've been covering in the past few months, where we've had missions to 43 degrees inclination. What that means is that in order to get to those to that different inclination, they go northeast instead of southeast. So today's mission is going to be heading northeast for a bunch of people that have, I remember when we were covering the other streams, the other launches, we used to have people from up the coast of the United States asking, "Oh, when is going to be the next northeast launch?" and blah blah blah, all that stuff. Because I know you guys, you probably felt, we don't have all those launches heading our way. So don't fret. This is one of those that goes up the coast, and it's nighttime. So if you have good weather, might be able to see it. And of course, downrange on the drone ship, that's going to be the booster landing on a chauffeur of gravitas. It's going to be stationed around 600 kilometers downrange, sort of off the coast of the Carolinas, essentially. Also, off the coast of the Carolinas will be Doug, recovering the fairing halves for this mission. And there you can see some of the stats. This booster is quite a flight-proven one. It's already flown 24 times, which is a lot of times, I guess. And there you can see some brief summary of the customer missions plus the N20 Starlink missions there. Some of the most notable missions there for customers are CRS-24, Hotbird 13F, OneWeb 15, and the launch of the two SES 18 and 19 satellites in just a single launch. I don't know, Jack, if you remember when CRS-24, this booster came back leaning, essentially. That was its first launch.
Yeah, sometimes they hit the deck of the drone ship a little bit hard, and that's why the legs have those crush cores. That's what they're for. It's called a crush core. It's not called a not crush core, right? But I want to go back for a second and talk about the trajectory that you mentioned. If you are watching right now and you are on the eastern seaboard of the United States, this is the sort of launch that you might be able to see, as Alex was saying. Alex, is it fair to say this is sort of like an ISS-like trajectory? What is that, like 56 degrees? Tonight they're going to 53, something like that?
A little bit lower, actually, 51.6. But yeah, I mean, it's like, what, 2 degrees? Less than 2 degrees, actually, because it's like... So, maths here. This today is technically 53.16. So, it's 1.5 degrees, something like that. I don't know. I think I've done the math correctly. But yeah.
Neat. So yeah, if you manage to go outside tonight at T0 and see anything in the sky, I don't care if it's a cell phone picture. Somebody tweeted at me or at NASASpaceflight on whatever social media app of choice that you use, because we want to see it. We always like to see what people are able to see from their various vantage points. Alex, let's talk about the booster a little bit. This is going to be booster 1069-25. So this is going to be its 25th mission. How many boosters are up that high? Is that sort of the life leading number right now, 25?
Not quite, but it's not like there's a lot of boosters out there that have launched that many times. Right now, there's only other 3 boosters that have flown 25 or more times into space. And those are B-1067, that was the first one to do that. Then B-1063 from the West Coast, and also B-1071 from the West Coast. So this will be the second one from the East Coast, sort of catching up to Vandenberg, I guess. But yeah, it's a veteran one. It will be the 4th booster to reach 25 flights. Again, there's actually like already up to 10 boosters reaching 20, but 20 flights, it takes a while for some of these boosters to catch up. So, give them like another half a year or so. Maybe by the end of this year, we'll see, 10 boosters already past 25 flights or something like that. But, it's just a matter of just launching more times.
Makes sense. I did neglect to mention, because I'm a terrible person, that chat, if you have any questions, you can type them in chat at NASASpaceflight before your question there, and it'll pop up in some software that we have running in the background. We already have some really good questions coming through, and also I do want to thank Biff Pope for becoming a Launch Director member. If y'all don't know, we have a membership program as part of YouTube, and you get a whole bunch of sweet perks at the various different membership levels, including at Capcom level and above. You get Discord access with a whole bunch of different Discord channels, an awesome community, and of course, at all of the levels of the membership program, you get a whole bunch of exclusive content just for members. So thank you, Biff, for signing up to the membership program at one of the higher levels of support. We genuinely cannot do what we do and have the breadth of coverage that we do without y'all's support. But Alex, what we also can't do is fill air without good questions from our viewers. So keep them coming. I do want to cover this one really quick right off the bat from Joel. Did they ever figure out why the rocket blew up the other day? I mean, buddy, it's been like 3 days. But as you've probably seen on social media, they suspect it was a nitrogen composite overwrap pressure vessel, right, Alex?
Yeah, those, I'm mostly sure that this early in the broadcast, a lot of people out there probably know about this because they're probably the most nerdy out there, right? Especially this late at night. Man, everybody watching out there, thank you. But going back on track here is, this sort of pressurized bottles, right? They are made of this inner metal liner and wrapped in carbon fiber. They are very common in the aerospace industry, and the problem is something like a ding on the carbon fiber, for example, during handling or whatever, it can cause them to burst, or even just pressurizing the wrong way, or very complicated set of situations. Could be something from, again, just a simple mishandling to maybe the vendor didn't actually give it, because they buy it off of a industrial vendor and things like that. Could be something like that, or it could be a very as you call it the other day on the flame trench, a Swiss cheese sort of cascade of different events, right? That
right.
that
I
led
didn't
to that.
I didn't make that up, for the record. That's just a thing I've read about. The Swiss cheese
Yeah.
model of accidents. Like, oftentimes it's not just one catastrophic thing; it's a series of little small things that sort of add up in aggregate to allow something bad to happen. Yeah, maybe. I'm really curious to see how all of that is going to pan out and what the investigation is going to come up with. But thankfully, in the meantime, SpaceX has Falcon 9 as their workhorse, as evidenced by what you're looking at right now, which is B1069 25 on the pad at Slick 40. So that is the glory of things at SpaceX right now. They have an operational rocket. In fact, it's arguably the best rocket to ever exist. It's definitely a very well flown rocket. And so they can sort of dabble with Starship in the meantime. I do want to just follow that thread a little bit and answer this question from Darth, because Darth is sweet for even caring. They're asking, is the team still doing all right after 36 exploded? It must have been scary for you guys on the ground. How bad do you think this affected the first Cape launch of Starship? Yeah, we're all fine. I said it on multiple different streams and broadcasts since the event. Personally, at no point did I feel unsafe. I mean, it was a fireball. It's very unfortunate, but we're all doing fine. Thank you for caring, Darth. As to the second part of the question, Alex, how do you think this affected the timelines for Cape Starship, given that, well, it's been sort of a string of uh-ohs and oopsies, as we say in the aerospace industry?
Well, there's multiple sides of that, right? I think I talked about this yesterday on X, that I think it was like a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about, now launching from 39A kind of makes sense, because back in the early days, it was like, oh, there's gonna be a full stack pad fallback, or an explosion on the pad or something like that, and those things no longer occur, right? Like I was sort of being coy about it and being like, those explosions are in the past. But if anything, Ship 36 reminded us that they're not that in the past. They can still happen, right? I don't think it's gonna really affect the Starship coming to the Space Coast in any case, because the progress is still there, and it's like a blip, if you will. Like, it's one of many ships that they have built, that they have operated in the last several years, right?
Right. It's not like the Cape has a functioning Starship pad and is waiting on flight hardware. They still have to build out the pad there.
Exactly.
It's going to take a certain amount of time, even if they end up diverting personnel from the Cape to Starbase. But yeah,
exactly.
That might be the one where maybe we see some timelines move to the right. But hey, if you want to know more, you should probably tune into Starbase Update on Monday, where we talk about this more in depth. Let's do a couple more questions, Alex, and then I want to hit the timeline, because we are getting close to when we might be seeing Frost. And if you do see Frost, feel free to shout it out. But
still, a good 10, 12 minutes, but sure.
I know, but I'm prone to ramble. You know how I do.
Bring it on.
Also, I know how you do. So, let's see. Isabel is asking, what's the meaning of each group number? We talk about this with Starlink launches. This is tonight's Starlink mission 10-23. What does that mean? What does 10-23 mean, Alex? We know, right? We know exactly what that means, right? Right?
Well, I mean, we know what they like. So we know that the first number means the group, aka the type of mission, right? It's not even the shell or anything like that. Like, sometimes they have different groups for the same sort of inclination and altitude and things like that. It's usually something different, something else that's different. But in any case, it's like groups of missions that have something in common, but between them, it's sort of like step siblings, right? It's like step sister,
Right.
step brother, something like that.
Right.
Like, you know, in between them, they don't have anything else in comparison or in common. I guess it will be the better word. But then all of those missions, that group of missions, then has, you know, the same sort of qualities or whatever. Like they launch to the same inclination, they have the same type of satellites being launched, etc., etc. So, for example, Group 12 missions used to be missions that launch to 53 degree, excuse me, not 53, 43 degree inclinations. And they will they will essentially launch like a mix of Starlink V2 minis and Starlink Direct to cell satellites.
Right.
So that's, for example, you know, a group of missions. Now, the second number is what are, you know, the different numbers. So one,
It's-
2, 3. That's
Is
the
it
mission number.
sequential? Is it usually sequential? Is
It
it
is not.
always sequential, or it's just whatever?
It's just whatever. Like this, for example, is 23, right? Mission 23, but it's actually the 15th launch of this group, of Group 10. And so it's like it's
Oh,
just
that's
random.
fun.
It's like the space shuttle, right? When they had, you know, now we do
STS
one number.
123. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and then we move to another different number or whatever. I don't remember exactly some of these numbers, but yeah,
It
I
was
mean,
like the first number was the fiscal year, then the second number was the month, and then the letter. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense. So the numbering is there is meaning there. We don't necessarily know
exactly.
all of the meaning, but we can derive some meaning from the numbering. Interesting. Speaking of deriving meaning, I guess before we get into fueling proper, Alex, we should probably hit the timeline if you think that is a good idea at this juncture.
There we go. So right now they should be polling, and so essentially, you know, T-minus 35 minutes, as you can see there in the timeline, they're gonna be going into propellant load. But before that, they need to make sure that everything is ready to go because, you know, Falcon 9 uses super chill propellants, and one of the things of Falcon 9 is that it cannot hold. So if it is not ready for propellant load, it probably is not ready for launch either, right? And so they normally delay that propellant load as late as they can when, for example, the weather is not right or they need to troubleshoot something. For Starlink missions like today, they have 4-hour windows, so they have plenty of time to delay into the window if they wanted to. But knock on wood, they don't do that because it's very late at night. Please, SpaceX. So before any of that happens, though, that's what I meant by polling operators, right? Like the launch director polls operators. They spend like a few minutes doing this sort of go no go, and it's sort of electronically actuated. Like you know, they do this thing of like, you know, just clicking a button or something like that on some monitor or whatever, instead of doing the traditional go whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at roughly 38 minutes, then the launch director will say, okay, yeah, everything is go for launch, and not for launch, for propeller load, excuse me. And so there will be this sort of thing of like, if you see anything on your monitor or whatever, do whole whatever. Like he gives the whole instructions for in case of an abort or something like that. Unfortunately, we no longer have those nice call outs and everything. So we have to wait until we see frost on the vehicle, usually around 32 minutes to launch or so. So about 7 minutes from now. And so if we see that frost around that time, we are good on track for a liftoff on time at 1:57 a.m. Eastern. And if not, well,
We'll find
prepare your
out.
coffee.
Awesome. Well, we should find out here very shortly. Either way, I do want to thank Astro Knucklehead, what's up, buddy, for gifting a Red Team membership. Jennifer Gates, thank you so much for becoming a Capcom member. Pop into the members Discord and say hey, because now you have access. Also, pro tip, you have access to the pre-show and the post-show for the Flame Trench every Friday. So tune into that because, hey, you have access now. Boo Sith 7 also coming in with a super chat. Thank you so much. They say thanks for the live coverage, NASA spaceflight. No problemo. You keep watching, we'll keep doing it. Heck, we might even do it if nobody's watching. Alex Turd Ferguson of the United Federation of Moons is asking, why do they launch so late? Why are there so many late night Starlinks. What's the deal there?
Well, it's just how it lines up with it lines up with the orbital mechanics and things like that. They need to hit these different planes and everything to distribute the thousands of Starlink satellites, right? And so sometimes some of these launches happen around this time of day. The previous Group 10 mission also happened around this time of day. I believe the next one is also around this time of day. So it just happens like this, right? Sometimes it's a little bit earlier as well.
It's less of a disruption to air traffic, right?
Well, it depends, because sometimes they schedule like right smack in the middle of like afternoon storms. I believe like a month ago they were sort of around the afternoon time frame, and we were very lucky of having some of these going on time because the weather was a little bit wild, right?
Right.
Because Florida, essentially. And others have been like early in the morning, or this one, which is really, really early in the morning. So yeah. But again, as you mentioned, there's also the fact about disturbing airlines and things like that. There's a bunch of other factors as well, but mainly it seems to do with the orbital mechanics, because sometimes they schedule like a bunch of these around the same time of day, then they change the time of day. And then again, there's like a string of other missions at a different time of day.
Right.
It kind of drives me a little bit crazy with the schedules.
I couldn't tell at all, Alex. Let's do some more questions here while we wait to see Frost on the base of the booster there. Hopefully, Misty asking if we ever do California launch coverage. We do when I'm there. Spend a lot of time in Starbase these days.
And when we can identify the rocket.
Hey.
I still remember that. It was my fault,
Hey.
actually. Like, I'm laughing at myself here, okay? Because I was the one saying, "Oh, is that a fairing? That's the rocket." And it turned out not to be the rocket, okay?
It's happened. It's happened to the best of us, namely you, and by proxy, all of us. Severin Fisher's asking, how did Of Course I Still Love You make the journey from East Coast to West Coast? Buddy, if you haven't seen, how long ago was that? We did a video
2021?
on our channel where Pauline and I got in a helicopter and flew over the port of Los Angeles and captured the arrival of Course I Still Love You. And the way they did it is they cut off the wings and they put it on a large semi-submersible ship. I think it was called the Mighty Servant. It's one of those like ships that can partially submerge most of the deck and then pick up something and then ferry it across. So they did that. They brought it to the Panama Canal. It's a whole thing. It's really cool. You should go back. I don't know, mods. That's a tall order for the mods. But if anybody has a link to that, throw it in chat, because that was really cool. I still have some of those photos in my favorites album. And my oh, nice. I still have some of those photos in my favorites album, and every now and then my phone will show them to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was really nifty. It was cool. Oh, Alex posted the link in chat. Thank you, Alex.
Yep, that was in 2021.
Yeah, we don't mess around with our coverage. I don't know if you guys knew that. if there's any possibility of us having caught something, we really try hard to do so. So yeah, that is how that happened. Pretty neat. Wait, did they cut the wings off or no? Was I wrong about that? Maybe they didn't.
I don't remember right now.
Maybe that was when they took
I think they did.
East Coast.
I think they did for just read the instructions when it went through. But I think for Of Course I Still Love You, they took the wider locks where it fits. I think that's what happened. Because Just Read the Instructions did the opposite thing, right? Like we saw, I think it was a little bit earlier in 2020, might have been.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, 2020. I'm looking at the...
Just Read the Instructions, like when they were first building it out in Long Beach. And yeah, the wings were just like sitting on the dock side for a while there. That was wild.
Yep.
Good times. Wow. Big Massive coming in with a $100 tip. Thank you so much, buddy. Oh, look, there's some video from that very event we were talking about. Neat. Good job, Carson. Thank you for that. Yeah, check that out. The link is in chat. It's pretty nifty. Big Massive coming in with a $100 tip to tips.nasaspaceflight.com. buddy, that is outstanding. That is an outstanding amount of support. Thank you. They say RIP Ship 36, Godspeed Starlink 1023. Dude, thank you so much. Always see your name pop up. Appreciate all of the support. That is a huge amount of money, and you know we'll turn it around to ever more coverage. Alex Severin's asking, does Falcon 9 have engine out capability like Starship does?
Not at the level of Starship, but it does have. So, like, you know, it obviously cannot lose like something like 3-4 engines or something like that. But it can lose one and still make the job. And if it's late enough, maybe even a second, late enough in the ascent portion, it can probably lose up to 2 engines.
Pretty nifty. Have they ever had to use that? He asks, knowing they have.
Yeah. So there's been a few missions where an engine has gone out. Not a lot. Like you only need to use the fingers on one hand, essentially. But there's been a few. For example, very early on, there was CRS-1 on the very stubby and smaller 9. Like it was the 1.0 version or whatever. Right. But yeah.
Alex, I'm seeing something at the base of the vehicle, and I know you know what it is, but I want to know if Max, who is out there right now pointing cameras at this rocket, knows what it is. Max, do we have you?
I sure hope so. How do you have me?
I have you loud and clear, good buddy. Let's see what chat says. But in the meantime, what are we seeing? What are you seeing?
I think Falcon 9 is drinking a Slurpee. Is that what's happening?
It's got a brain freeze.
I mean, basically, it's currently taking on what you are seeing is the bottom of the first stage liquid oxygen tank. And the RP1 tank is, of course, below that, but because it is in the cryogenic temperature range, that is why you are seeing frost and now vapor covering and emerging from the tank structure of Falcon 9. And that will only get bigger, of course, as more and more propellant flows in. But Falcon 9 is getting frosty. We are go for the window opening.
Excellent. Max, thank you for juggling everything that you are out there in the field and getting us these nice up-close views.
Always happy to be here.
Keep your questions coming. We will continue to answer your questions as the countdown continues to tick down, especially now that we know that they are loading propellants into this vehicle. And as Alex said a moment ago, Falcon 9 uses super chilled propellants, and they don't really have an ability to hold. So now that we see frost and we know that they're loading propellant, we know that 30 minutes is either go or no go. Hopefully it's go. Let's see here. Misty is asking, are the drone ships always the same distance away, or can they vary in distance from the launch sites based on payload sizes or other things? Max totally knows the answer to this question, but I am going to ask Alex because this is a total Alex question. Sorry, Max.
Hey, now.
No, I know you know. I just figured this is so Alex coded. It's Alex pilled.
What if I use the Unireverse card and say, Max, answer it?
That's not how this works. Go ahead.
Okay. No, but, going back on the rails here. Yeah, so, the drone ship can just be positioned anywhere sort of downrange of where Falcon 9 is going to be. Obviously, as long as Falcon 9 can reach that, like if you position it, I don't know, off the coast of Africa or something like that. I don't think Falcon 9 boosters can reach that far, if I'm going to be honest, right? But yeah, it can essentially be positioned, anywhere between off the coast of the Cape. We've seen that in the past, like just a couple of kilometers off the coast of the Cape. That was, for example, on CRS-17 in 2020. I think no, it was 2019. Excuse me, when they had this explosion of a Crew Dragon at LC-1, and so the site was inaccessible for several months essentially, and also as they were repairing part of the site and everything. But yeah, and so they had a drone ship out there, and as far away, I think the limit for Falcon 9 has been somewhere around 700 kilometers, but for Falcon Heavy has been as far as 1,500 kilometers. So Falcon Heavy center course, they fly a little bit further away, and so they can reach all out further away. Yeah, they can put them anywhere they want. Again, as long as the booster reaches that distance.
Makes sense. A really sweet message here from Woodworker Don, member for 22 months as a Red Team member. They say, awesome work, NSF, all channels, commentators, photographers, editors, behind-the-scenes staff. Thank you for all you do. Don, you've been a member for almost 2 years. That's wild. So first off, thank you for that. Second off, holy cow. I can't echo that enough. It really does take a massive team of people all around the world to make NSF happen. So when we're thankful for y'all's support, it's because it really does. It's a stupid cliche, like it takes a village. No, it's not even a village. It's like a small city. Like the amount of people that make NSF go is truly wild, and I'm honored to be part of this team. So thank you, Bob. Or Don, Woodworker Don. I don't know why I went with Bob. Don, your name's now Bob. Alex, Riverdave is asking, any word on Axiom 4? What's going on with Ax 4?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it seems like, for those that may have missed, what happened there in the first place was, they had an issue with the Falcon 9 at first. It was already solved. They did testing and everything. That's already behind us, right? But what's happening right now is around that same week, on the ISS, there's this module called VESDA. It's been having error leaks since 2019. They've been trying different methods to be able to fix the leaks. It just so happens that earlier this month they tried a version of some of those solutions, I guess, and it seems like maybe the air is holding. Like it seems apparently that there are no leaks, but the station is still losing air. Because so one of the theories is that maybe the particular section of the ISS is just that there's like a hatch that can be isolated that section of the ISS. So one of the theories is that maybe that hatch is not isolating as well as it can, and so apparently it in the pressure readings it seems as if that section in particular of the station seems to hold pressure, where what is happening is, the pressure that is escaping, it's also sort of coming in from the other side of the station through that hatch. Anyways, so what happens is that NASA is like, you know what? Let's take some time to look at these repairs. Let's not launch Axiom 4 with those 4 people and whatever, and alter some of the air and everything. Because it's going to be 4 more people breathing, right? And so they're going to be taking in more of the life support system, etc., etc. And so that's essentially what is going on here. They're just taking more time. They're trying to target different dates. And as they gather more data, they're like, maybe a little bit more time. And it's sort of, like when you're trying to wake up and it's like, I'm just going to snooze my alarms and sleep for a little bit more. So, similarly with this.
Got it. Well... you generally want the space station to be not leaking air, so hopefully they can get that sorted out. Ken Schaefer.
Yeah.
Oh, Max, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add on to that a little bit. As far as we are aware, we don't have an exact date of when they might try again. But as far as we can tell here from at least at the press site, both Axiom and NASA were working on the TV stage like NASA normally does for their crew broadcasts. And there was also a stage over on the press site, kind of by the turn basin, for a sort of crew handover photo opportunity for members of the media. After the first attempt, they were actually taken down, and both of those take some time to rebuild. Those can't just get knocked up overnight, I think, for a launch the next day. So when those begin to go back up again, I think we are getting nearer to a more serious launch attempt when both NASA and Axiom are happy. Because as far as we are aware, both the vehicle, Dragon and Falcon, are both healthy over at Pad A, so that isn't the issue. But once those stages go back up, then we should know we're getting close. But at the moment, both are still taken down. That's just one of the few observations I've had here at the press site. But in the meantime, at least from what I can see over my left shoulder, we have 3 rockets vertical at all adjacent pads. We have Falcon 9 with Dragon over at LC-39A. We have Atlas 5 over at 41. And as you can see on your screen, we have Falcon 9 with Starlink over at Slick 40 tonight. So at least from what the Mark 1 eyeballs are seeing, we can at least appreciate 3 launch vehicles poised at their pads at the same time. So not ideal. It's not an ideal situation to be in for sure, but it is nice to see.
I mean, more rockets, more better, dare I say. Indeed, also more members, more better. We really can't do this without your support. Ken Schaefer gifting 20 Red Team memberships. I'm seeing a lot of names in chat turn green. Thank you so much, Ken. That is extremely generous of you. Be sure to thank the person who gifted you a membership. Also, RC Horseman, what's up, buddy? Gifting 20 Red Team memberships as well. Chat is exploding with fresh green names who all have access to some sweet perks as part of the membership program. So thank you, Ken, and thank you, RC. And y'all, if you just got a gifted membership, do the nice thing and thank the person in chat. That's pretty nifty. Hop Hayes is also pretty nifty with a $10 super, saying, cheers from Indy. Could they test Starship on Pad B, then stack on Pad A? What am I missing? Question mark. Hashtag ship 26 cursed ship 36. You're missing the fact that Pad A isn't, or that Pad B isn't even ready for a booster, let alone how would they put a ship on it, and then where would the ship QD go? I wish this stuff was not rocket science and it was more like Legos and we could just sort of commingle parts and be like, oh, I'll just take this part off of that and put it on there and we're good. And who knows? Maybe in the next couple weeks and months we see SpaceX do some crazy Lego style stuff. But in the meantime, it's no answer to this problem of a destroyed Massey test site is going to be a quick, easy fix. Like, there's no easy solution here.
Pad A milk stool.
Pad A milk stool is the easiest. It's really not. But in my mind, in terms of what I want, not what is logical, milk stool is the way to go. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up Saturn milk stool. You will not be disappointed. Was that the Saturn 1B?
Yep.
Yes.
Neat. Yeah, look it up. History. It's a thing. 98 Central is asking, when it said drone ship, does that mean it moves around autonomously to complement alignment with the booster for landing? Max, how does that work? Does the drone ship kind of just station keep? Does it talk to the booster and move accordingly? Do we know?
I mean, all of the drone ships have their own underwater prop thrusters, so they have the ability to stay in a location. And of course, at a certain point in flight, the onboard system with the drone ship is in constant communication with the first stage booster to make sure that they arrive in the same place at the same time. And I think there is a little bit of play based on the margin that the booster has on board in terms of fuel, but not much. Ideally, the drone ship would stay in the same spot the whole time. So I think they do have some play, but not a ton. But I was going to try and make a smooth transition there, but there really isn't one. But there is a current event happening over at Slick 40, Jack.
There is an event. I was ready to yell at Alex for not yelling at us and letting us know that T-minus 20-minute vent was happening right on schedule. Alex, what does that vent indicate?
Well, I was just letting you guys, have a nice chat. But, we are right now on that LOX chill down, as you can see there on the timeline. That is basically just chilling down those lines, flowing a little bit of liquid oxygen through the transporter reactor up to the second stage without loading the second stage, right? That's going to come up in about 3 minutes or so at the T-minus 16-minute mark in the count. But before that happens, as I was saying, they do this chill down to be able to condition that line. And instead of being, at what temperature is right now in Florida, Max? Whatever temperature it is, right? It's very hot compared to the cryogenic liquid oxygen. Yeah. It's one of those things of Florida. It's always hot, regardless of the season.
You say that, but honestly, it isn't the heat right now that's getting us. It's just incredibly humid, and there's really no breeze tonight, as you can see from the behavior of the cloud coming out of the TE. It's just kind of falling in place.
It's really not moving. That's kind of wild.
It's really not, and that's basically what the air is doing all around here tonight. It is pretty much dead still, with the exception of the thousands of mosquitoes buzzing around at all times now. But while we're on the topic, obviously, as you can see, the weather forecast is on the screen right now. And really, that is showing about as good as you can get. There's only a 5% chance of violation or unfavorable weather conditions. So, in other words, 95% go or favorable, and there is low risk in terms of upper level wind shear, booster recovery weather, and solar activity. So, yeah, really as good as you can get. And the Mark 1 eyeballs would I think suggest to concur with that conclusion and that forecast. So, weather is looking good tonight. It's also heading northeast, which is going to be a nice change of pace from what we've had for the longest time in terms of going southeast. Now we're going northeast on a 53 degrees north as opposed to 43 degrees south. So, but everything's is looking good so far. But it is awfully sticky out here tonight. It has to be said.
Yeah, Max, when it lifts off, you're going to want to pan to the left, not the right. Just like internalize that now.
I know.
Just don't forget to
It
tilt out.
almost. Yeah, it almost got me last time, and I thought I had the monitor in the wrong spot on the tripod, but it wasn't. But yes, it is going north. I'll have to keep that in mind this time again.
Good stuff. Speaking of it going north, Tim is asking, will the Philadelphia, South Jersey area see the second stage, or will it be too high in space? I think maybe. I'm not sure. It's worth going out and looking. I mean, if it's higher in the sky for you, that's better actually than it being on the horizon, right? Right?
That far north, yes. But there's also no real sun or very bright moon to help bring out the exhaust from the MVAC on the upper stage. So it's probably going to be rather tricky to see at that point. But also by the time it gets up towards that area, we should be past main engine cutoff on the upper stage, or I should say SECO, it's second engine cutoff on the upper stage. So I don't want to say no. I've never been in that area and gone out to look in the southeast for a launch, but it's worth a shot. You never know.
John in chat says, "Oh look, I'm in Philly." John, please do and report back for us, and also have a cheesesteak for me. I'm craving one. Also, Peas Doc in chat says, "We'll see it in Philly. I usually see it." Cool. All right. Well, there you go. Good luck, everybody on the Eastern Seaboard. Hopefully, you get a good show tonight. Even if it's just a dot cooking across the sky, it's really neat to see, and I can't recommend if you think you might be able to see it to run outside and check it out. Also, keep in mind. You'll see it if you're far up the coast. You'll see it like minutes after liftoff. Don't give up. You never know when it's going to pop out of the clouds or pop into your field of view. Like Max, when you were in Key West waiting to see Dragon re-enter, you thought it was kind of game over, right? And then bam, you saw it.
Yeah, and it's worth noting quick that because that was Dragon, we're talking about re-entry and not launch. But yeah,
Of course.
both D and I were out in Key West looking for the return of Polaris Dawn and its crew of 4 because they were going to splash down in the Dry Tortugas area in the Gulf. And we thought, based on where we were in the re-entry corridor, we were too far north to see really any of the plasma trail. And towards the time of or the end of the entry interface area, we weren't seeing it yet. So we thought, okay, we're done. And then all of a sudden, boom! It comes over the horizon next to the moon, and we had it for probably, I want to say, a minute and a half or 2 minutes, and then we had it pretty much all the way until the plasma was all done forming around the heat shield. So yes, you never know.
Indeed, man. Someone should really get those Tortugas some water. Like if they're so dry, just like get them some water. Right, Max?
Wow.
Right?
Thirsty Tortuga.
Moving quickly along.
Speaking of sea-based, because I was thinking,
what are you
there's
about
also-
to do, Alex? What are you doing?
well, there's also the jellyfish effect, because we're talking about visibility, right? And when it goes up the coast, for example, when it's after sunset, or at least close to sunset in Florida, it may already be very dark in the northern east coast, right? And so you've got the light of the sun hitting the exhaust. That's when it puts on a show for the East Coast viewers and whatnot. They recently had one of those on the West Coast. It was so nice, and I'm really,
It was a really good one.
Yeah, I really don't like to admit that. It was a really good one.
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you right now because we are getting continued support and we are getting closer to launch. John, Mr. Coffee, gifting a Red Team membership twice, so thank you for that. 13 minutes to go.
Are you fighting with Sawyer in the chat?
I am fighting with Sawyer in the chat. Don't worry about it. 13 minutes to go. Because we are watching 27 Starlink mini satellites get ready to launch into orbit, this is an interesting question from 98 Central here asking, what's our confidence level in Blue Origin completing its satellite constellation quota next year for their internet access service? So if you don't know, as part of the deal that various satellite constellation operators or hopeful operators have made with the FCC, they have to launch a certain number of satellites by a certain date in order to, what is it, Alex, like qualify for their allocated bandwidth, something along those lines?
Yeah. Usually it's like half of the constellation. I think it's like in a 5-year period after getting the approval to deploy the constellation. So it's like, okay, here's your approval. Start launching and deploying things into orbit, and you gotta get half of it in 5 years, essentially. And so, that happened with SpaceX, now with Amazon. They need to launch a lot.
Yeah, so to look at the question, what is our confidence level in them completing their quota next year? I mean, Max, Kuiper, what is it, Kuiper number 2 is on the pad in an Atlas, like you were saying a moment ago, right?
Yeah, it just rolled out of the VIF, or the vertical integration facility over at Slick 41 this morning, and is currently on the docket to fly very early on Monday morning. I think currently it's at 6:50 a.m. or so. But it's worth noting that a majority of the remaining Atlas V launches are occupied by Kuiper payloads, and also there is a large portion of current Vulcan assigned flights also assigned to Kuiper, as well as a few new Glenn flights. So, yeah, the ULA needs to fly often to get these satellites up to where they need to be, and also get the numbers that they need up. So time will tell if they can do that. ULA has been wanting a higher cadence for both Atlas and Vulcan for a while. They've been talking about it for probably the last 3 years, and they have yet to really meet their goals or their expectations on that front, unfortunately. But it sounds like they're going to have to do that or come close in order to make sure that the Kuiper constellation stays within the FCC regulations. So, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, up next is Kuiper Mission 2, which is the second operational batch of Kuiper satellites going off to a low Earth orbit.
Yeah, I do wonder if they'll be able to hit their quota, or if it'll just be a sort of thing where they get like an extension or a waiver or what have you. Of course, unlike Falcon 9, Atlas V is expendable, and it's going to go in the drink. Like, ULA doesn't have the ability to just sort of reuse Atlases over and over again. It's going straight in the ocean. And hey, if you want to go straight in the ocean, we have merch for that. Thank you, Alex, for the rock-solid segue. We have Hawaiian shirts that are made in the U.S., believe it or not. We did extra work to make sure you're getting a quality product made right here in the USA. There's a bunch of cool different designs with a bunch of cool little hidden stuff in the designs, like the dragon design has dolphins in it. Remember when that happened? All kinds of fun stuff. But hey, it's not just the Hawaiian shirts. We also have merch for women as well. We have women's PJs and shorts. They're super cool. We also have a bunch of cool stuff for summer. Hey, the summer solstice, just happened. So, it's summertime. Grab a pair of swim trunks from the Super Heavy Swim Club collection. Grab someone special to you a pair of the Hawaiian shorts or whatever. I know, it's a merch plug, but we can't do this. I say this all the time because it's the truth. We can't do this stuff without the support from the members, support from viewers like you, and people who get the merch, because hey, you get something cool in return for your support in that case. So if you want a cool towel, which we have 2 of these here at the bunkhouse, and they are quite good. Or if you want something else, check out the merch store. We appreciate it because we love what we do, and we want to keep doing it. So thank you for even considering it. All right, 8.5 minutes to go. Things are getting really real. Alex, where are we at in the timeline?
Well, we are approaching the final few minutes. You can see there the clock ticking down, 8 minutes, 20 seconds to go. And right now, they are wrapping up the kerosene load on the first stage. That should be wrapping up in about 2 minutes from now. In about a minute or so, they're going to also begin the chill down of the Merlin engines on the first stage. So you can see that timeline popping up on the left-hand side of the screen. And after that, we're going to have that stromback retract. That's the structure, the service structure sort of next to the rocket. There's like two little clamps at the top. They open. Well, little. They're actually massive, but compared to the rocket, they're little. Exactly.
Right.
The little clamps at the top will open. The stromback will retract about 1.8 degrees away. Sort of giving a little bit of clearance there, and then at liftoff, it'll just swing out the whole way. In the meantime, between that moment and liftoff, of course, there's going to be the wrap up of liquid oxygen load on both the first and second stages at T-3 minutes and T-1 minute, respectively. 2 minutes, excuse me, for the second stage, respectively. And T-1 minute, we're going to have Falcon 9 entering startup. That is when the ground computers hand over the control of the countdown to the onboard computers on Falcon 9. Sort of, the meme of, hey, look at me, I'm the captain now. That's going to be the Falcon 9 at T-1 minute. And that is precisely when also those computers on Falcon 9 are like, okay, let's check what is going on here around the rocket. And so there's a lot of automated checkouts and everything that's going to happen. There's also the tanks coming up to flight pressure, etc., etc. As all of that is happening, the launch director will hopefully verify that everything is go for a launch, roughly 45 seconds to launch. But that's where we are right now. Less than 7 minutes, man. It's gonna be coming very fast.
Excellent. And now we are at the point of the flow here where we need to let Max go to do camera things. Max, we're going to send you off. Thank you for being out there and braving the swarm of mosquitoes for us.
I'm happy to do it as always, but it is indeed that time, Jack and Alec and everyone else watching. So thank you very much, and I will see y'all on the other side.
Indeed. Have a good launch, Max. We look forward to your imagery as always. All right. 6 minutes to go. Again, this is Starlink 10-23 with 27 Starlink V2 mini satellites on board. The booster is B1069-25. This will be its 25th flight, and it'll be landing downrange to the northeast on a shortfall of gravitas. So again, if you're on the eastern seaboard, maybe at T0 or T plus a minute or so, run outside and see what you can see, because hey, you might see a second stage cooking across the sky. You never know with rocket launches. Speaking of never knowing, John Mr. Coffee's asking, Jack, how loud was the explosion? Loud? I wish I could tell you definitively, but I was in work mode, and I remember being like, geez, that was loud. But, lots of things are loud. Starship launches are loud. Thunder is loud. Lightning. Well, no, lightning's not loud. It's just bright. But you get my meaning. I really don't have any, specific memory of that. Alex, Severin's asking... Severin had a whole bunch of good questions tonight. Severin's asking, do you think they'll build any more Falcon 9 launch sites?
Well, they are right now in the process of having one being built.
You don't say! At the best launch site in the world, Slick 6?
I knew you were going to say.
I had no idea! I definitely didn't queue up this question for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Tell me more!
Yeah, I walked right into it. So yeah, Space Launch Complex 6, very historic launch pad at Vandenberg on the west coast, on essentially California coast. And that one is, the history goes back all the way to like the shuttle and everything. They didn't end up using it for the shuttle, but then they did use it.
Titan, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe shuttle. I could be
Titan?
wrong.
I think it was built for the shuttle specifically. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I know it was supposed to be used by the shuttle, right? And but it wasn't used for that. I think in the 90s it was used for some like small rocket by Lockheed Martin. I think it was the Athena rocket, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was turned over for the Boeing Delta IV medium and Delta IV heavy rockets in sort of like the 2000s. So yeah, but now
Slick 6 was
Falcon
originally
9.
constructed in support of Titan 3M and the MOL program.
Okay. Oh, the Man Orbital Laboratory. Yeah, I knew it was sort of around crew launches to polar orbits that never happened from the West Coast, and then it ended up happening from the East Coast.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
You know,
Oh
someone
man,
had to do that.
you had to.
You were way high up.
I rattled you. You rattled me. We're all on the same page here. We're 3 minutes away from Falcon 9 lofting 27 Starlink V2 mini satellites into orbit, and things are getting really real here. Really quickly, John Koshi, Mr. Coffee, I hope I'm saying your name right. I apologize if I'm not. Gifting yet another Red Team membership. Once again, thank you. The membership program is something we put a lot of effort into to give you guys even more content for those of you that want it. So thanks for gifting that. I'm sure whoever got it is going to appreciate having even more NSF content available to them. And you can get it too as part of the membership program. I see chat right now. I always watch chat while we're getting close to launch, and I just see everyone kind of hanging out, saying hi to each other as they come in. It's pretty cool. If you're watching from somewhere around the world, type in chat where you're watching from. Sorry mods. Sorry chat mods. But yeah,
Is it late where you're watching from as well? Like, let us know.
Or is it early? Or is it
early? Yeah.
Or normal? Hi, Kevin. Someone named Kevin Michael Reed's in chat. But you know what else is? I guess it's not in chat. It's on screen. Is about to happen is another one of those large vents, right, Alex?
Yeah, they are wrapping up that liquid oxygen load on the second stage. When that happens, they clear all the lines because that means Falcon 9 is already done with propellant loading, and it gotta get ready. It's gotta get ready for that liftoff, right? And you don't want a lot of the the bad stuff, all of that propellant hanging off on that. Well, there we go. Stage 2 LOX load complete, so that means propellant load is complete, and we're gonna see that return of the Stromback vent. As I was saying before, that's in order to vent out all of the remaining gas and remaining liquids and whatnot. You don't want that stuff near close the rocket when it lifts off, so that's what they do. They're also going to be closing out some of the pressurization systems and whatnot. So we're going to have also all of those vents as well, gas closeouts. They're going to be probably calling out on the nets as well.
Right.
So those are some of the things. And 1 minute.
What? What was that?
Stations
Did we lose you?
on countdown 1.
Hang on.
We do expect to trigger an abort here. Please stand by.
Sounds like they said the word abort. I heard the word abort.
That they may trigger one.
So at a minute, typically Falcon 9's computer goes into startup.
All stations
Look
on
at the
countdown
clock.
1. This is Launch Director. We have aborted due to poor FTS signal. We will be offloading and then proceeding into investigation.
Poor FTS signal, offloading and proceeding into an investigation. You heard it there, folks. Unfortunately, it sounds like Falcon 9 is not going to space, at least not in this portion of the window. If they're standing down for investigation, it sounds to me like they would not be able to recycle, even if they could, late into the window. So that sounds like game and set and match for Falcon 9 tonight. But you know what? You'd rather wish you're on the ground. Wait. Oh, I blew it. You'd rather be on the ground wishing you were in space than being in space wishing you were on the ground.
Yeah.
There we go. I can talk. I can say words in the appropriate order. But really, it's a rocket. It's loaded with tons of cryogenic propellant, and you don't want to send it to space unless you're absolutely sure. So if you're unclear as to what that call out was, Alex, they said, what was that poor connectivity to the FTS? That's the flight termination system?
Yeah, something along those lines. The flight termination system on Falcon 9, just like on Starship as well, it is fully automated. So that means the flight termination system needs to be able to connect with all of the systems on the Falcon 9 and be able to know where the rocket is. Because, if for whatever reason the rocket strays off its path, that automated flight termination system needs to know that it needs to trigger the charges and whatnot. So that's one of the things that may be happening here. This is complete speculation that perhaps it just doesn't have a good connection with those systems. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But it kind of sounds like that.
Yeah,
At least from the
Ethernet
wording.
cable wasn't plugged in all the way somewhere.
Yeah.
Some sort of signal flow
Oh.
issue somewhere in the chain, like a cable got jostled. Max, I heard you laughing, but as someone who has to deal with broadcast cameras and getting a feed up to the internet so people around the world can watch it, you know all about signal flow and little minor issues that can pop up.
Connectivity matters, folks, and we were actually struggling with that at the beginning of the stream with one of our cameras because it decided to be a little bit pesky more than usual. But yes, connectivity matters, and a fully functioning FTS is critical to ensure the safe launch and safe flight of any rocket. So rather unfortunate, but it makes this very interesting week in spaceflight all the more interesting, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
That's it.
By the way, I want to let you know, Max, that chat has been very appreciative of your efforts in the field, and they feel bad that you braved the mosquito swarm for nothing. It's not for nothing. We're all hanging out and having fun and talking shop. But still, chat is appreciative. Thank you, Max.
Yeah, no, it's not for nothing. It never is. I mean, it's just, guys, it is part of the game we play. Scrubs are part of the game. We know that going in, and we know that coming in to set up and get everything ready. So it's just about getting the views out there for everyone to watch and enjoy, and just hang along for the ride. So, but I'm always happy to come out here, and we will hopefully come back out tomorrow night for the next attempt should SpaceX opt to do that.
You know, Max, if you ever upload your consciousness into a computer that's connected to the internet, we could call you IMAX because you make really nice imagery, and you'd be uploaded to the internet.
Wow.
I mostly just did that to see if Sawyer would yell at me in chat.
And did he?
I don't know. I'm still watching chat and waiting. Oh, goodness. Well, that looks like a scrub for Falcon 9 tonight. That's a shame, but so it goes. Alex, how rare is this?
It's rather rare. I don't recall any other time where they've scrubbed because of an FTS. I've known about delays of a launch because of the very first launch of Falcon 9 was delayed by like a month because they were still certifying the FTS. Back in the day, it was fully manual, by the way. The big red button and everything. But I don't recall ever them having to scrub a launch because of the FTS on Falcon 9. That must be a first. Maybe on other rockets, it's happened before. I'm not aware, but with so many other rockets going out there, there's probably some other event like this on other rockets. I'm just not aware right now. But yeah, that's new. That's something that I've never seen before, and I've seen lots of Falcon 9 launches.
Okay, this is really important. Caesar, our very own Caesar in chat, said Cinemax. That's way better. That's a way better one. I should have worked that into the joke somehow. Cinemax. But nobody, like all you youngins, you probably don't know what Cinemax is.
If only both terms weren't copyright infringement, I guess. I've also, honestly, before, right when I was first getting into this, I was also toying with the name of Max Q Imagery or Max Q Photography, but I think that has also been taken. So, yeah, it's been fun to play around with for a bit, but I guess I just eventually just settled on my name.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Although, I feel like if you did change your last name to something that started with Q, and then you used that brand, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm just saying. But I do like. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if it had been nowadays, it probably would have been, I don't know, Photomaxing or something.
Wow. Also true. Also yes.
It's totally just not related. But if I did ever want to change my name, which I don't, it would have to be Maximus Decimus Meridius from Gladiator. Has to be.
Nice. Ooh. John just gifted another Red Team membership, which is wild because it's a scrubbed launch. Thank you so much, John, for all of your gifted memberships tonight. I think that's 5 total or something like that. Either way, thank you so much. Y'all, it doesn't have to be a monetary thing. We appreciate everybody that comes out and watches our streams. That is support aplenty. Just hit the like button. Tell your friends about us. If you hear anyone spreading FUD, that's fear, uncertainty, and doubt about spaceflight, maybe take it upon yourself to educate them better. because, hey, if we're all going to get to Mars, then we all need to be on board. Carson operated tonight's stream. Thank you, Carson, for that. You can see NSF's socials there. We're on all the socials. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads and IG and Facebook and X and all the places, Blue Sky. So get your space news in whatever place you prefer. Max is also out in the field. Once again, thank you, Max, for doing what you do and bringing us stellar imagery anytime you can.
It is a pleasure as always, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to hang out at a rather ungodly hour of the morning here in the U.S. So, hopefully, we are hoping to see everyone back here very soon.
Also on commentary was our very own Alejandro Alcantarilla Romero. How'd I do, Alex?
Trying your best, man.
Really? Like one of these days you're gonna praise me. Like, one of these days, I swear I'm gonna get it good enough that you're gonna be like, oh, that was actually pretty good. Like, and then
I already praise the trying, like the you know.
Yeah, but
what else?
The implication is that like it's a try, it's not a success. That's the implication. It's like a very backhanded compliment.
Hey,
I feel like it's almost worse.
It's like this launch. They tried to launch it. That's already praise from me. It just didn't get there, right?
You might as well have said you're doing great, sweetie. But whatever, I'll take it. Thank you for being on comms, Alex. Once again, thank you to Carson for operating the stream. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully, we will be back soon for another launch from the Cape or somewhere. Until then, we'll see you next time.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside of speed off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange! Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage! What is it? Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
If there's methane to be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.